Howdy, how you going? Well, I thought it was time for a Let's Play. It's been a long time since we did a Let's Play on my live Strider channel, and I thought now's a good time. And so, yeah, originally I was going to play Simpsons Hit and Run because, yeah, Simpsons related, but when I tried, Homer kept on driving onto basically transparent water, and the game kept on crashing, and it was just a bad situation. So I abandoned that idea and thought, well, I'll just play The Sims for a bit. Basically, this is my guy, and I call him what do I call him? Dusk Twilight, because I like the name Twilight, and Dusk and Dawn are some of my favorite names of all time. I don't personally plan to have any offspring, but if I ever were to name a kid, I think I'd name them Dawn or Dusk. Maybe Alice if it was a lady. But anyway, and this is my adopted daughter, Erica Twilight. Erica's a nice name. And yes, she's going to school right now, and it is like 3 a.m. No, wait, 6 a.m. And I'm apparently governor, so I need to practice my charisma skills. Do I have a place to do that? Yes. Now, as we all know, we all practice speeches to improve our charisma in the bathroom, talking about world peace, I'm going to guess. So that's what I will do for the day. Wait, what? No, I'm going to eat waffles first. Anyway, I also have questions that have been asked by people. You have been kind enough to ask me some questions, so I'll answer those. So to start with, we have one from Renee Salayats. Renee says, howdy Renee, not cartoon related, but what piece of advice have you received when you were younger that still resonates with you today? It doesn't have to be cartoon related. You ask me whatever you like. I really like general questions because it's fun to talk about things that aren't completely always cartoon related. What is that, a sink? One big bit of advice probably is from Kreia in Knights of the Old Republic. She gave me so much advice. But one is that isolation weakens us and erodes us, and that yeah, and the idea of that is basically even falls into psychology. That basically when we're isolate ourselves from society, it particularly applies in my situation or many people who are on the spectrum situation, because we don't want to go out necessarily to society. And to interact with lots of other people because it can be exhausting. Well, I mean, I want to see other people, but it takes a lot of effort. Like it's an energy and it's an effort more than with other people. Introverts in general, I think, have that problem. But when you isolate yourself for too long, which it can be easy to do, you start to just weaken a little bit in that you need that interaction constantly. Like, there is something to be said about the loneliness epidemic that people are talking about. I think it's going a little bit too far in the way they're saying, like, it's bad as smoking. No, it's not bad as smoking. But, it's a real thing. And anyway, yeah, and, just, I don't know, I modeled myself off video game characters growing up. Like Abe from Abe's Odyssey was a big one, but basically only me and Kid Icarus really like. I think it's Kid Icarus who likes it. I don't watch his stuff, but I noticed he did a interview with Lorne Lanning. But we'd probably be two of the... Not many people on YouTube would probably want to interview Lorne Lanning because it's a very niche project now. But I'm a big fan of Abe from Abe's Odyssey, and I modeled myself, I think, a lot off him and a lot of characters like Goku. Tons of characters. I think we all do that a little bit. Anyway. And before I go to the next question, let's see. So, oh, she's a grade A student right now. How long till she ages up? So she's just about a teenager. We might buy a cake and move it along a little bit, because I've got it on epic mode. So you blow out. So, have you done your homework, Erica? Yeah, she's done I think she's just reading. Gary Minapalooza. You can blow up the candles if you like, Erica. Dusk, go celebrate with your adopted daughter. Oh, that's nice. The maid's celebrating with us as well. Yes, and so the next question is from Kayla Jones, who asks, what made you start your YouTube channel? One sec. Erica has reached her teen years, and angst and raging hormones have made this a difficult period for any sim. Erica now joined the workforce by making a part-time job, although grades are still a big factor in future success. And we get to choose a trait for her. So she's brave, and she's got a photographer's eye. Let's make her athletic. Artistic's fun. No, athletic's good. I want her to be running around and stuff and being active. We've got a trampoline out the back, so she can use that. And so, I started my YouTube channel, Kayla, back on I officially really started probably 2015, probably December, when I released Best Futurama. Worst Cartoon Network was basically what my first video to go viral, which basically started all this. But Best Futurama was what started it all, because I loved Futurama. I mean, I did a video before that, I think in 2014, 2013. I had a lot of time in between doing other stuff, like I joined the Navy, and I think probably told you guys before. But I also tried a long time to join the police service, but they eventually didn't accept me because I'm Asperger's, which is fair enough, because the year before they had a really bad accident with one of the guys who was Asperger's, because he was basically in the cop car and driving along and just went into completely overstimulated mode and basically had a breakdown while driving. And bad situation anyways. And in retrospect, I don't think I would have wanted to be in the police service anyway. I mean, I love this job right now. It's just amazing. And I personally think you can do good in whatever job you're in. You can. When I was in pizza service, like just delivering pizzas, I feel I did something to just give people a nice afternoon with a smile. When I was in service station or customer service in general for 5 to 10 years, I think me being a nice person at night, being kind, and just being a little bit of a light to people in the dimness of 1 a.m. was doing a nice thing for a person. I think we all do a nice thing for one another. It's the small things that all add up in our society. I know that probably sounds cheesy, but I really do believe that. And so, yeah. Anyway, what was the question again? I lost my track. But it was about what started the channel. So yeah, that, and I was doing I did a Dragon Ball GT review at the time, because I looked on YouTube, and there was nothing on YouTube but 8 reasons Dragon Ball GT sucks, which is basically just freaking kids yelling into their webcams. And I was just like, I love GT. I'm going to do a proper review of this, that this is balanced, and show both sides of the coin, what's bad about it, what's good about it. And it got a massive 5,000 views, or was it 1,000 at the time or something? And I was like, wow. I mean, I roll my eyes, but and whatever size community, I shouldn't make fun, sorry, but at the time that was a big deal to me, and it was great to have a community to talk to me, and I never would have imagined at the time that it could be a full-time job, and that I could be, reaching out to over 1 million people a month. Just an incredible idea. Anyway, I'm not going to get all mushy. It's just a wonderful job, and yeah, so that's how I got started, just trying to do decent reviews of anime, and then I moved on to cartoons, because I think it's part of why I have a connection with Robin, because we're playing Frisbee together. Because through most of my teen years, the angsty teen years, I was into anime, loved anime with a passion. I watched it all. I actually started the channel doing things like top 10 weirdest anime, and I did controversial anime too, but I got rid of that one because I didn't like exposing people. That was actually my first review of Shoujo Tsubaki. And yeah, I didn't want to expose people. If kids were watching that, I was like, no, they don't need to see that. You two, do something. Don't you have work or something, Governor? You have terrible charisma score. I mean, I'm glad you two are having fun, but go practice your charisma or something. Go practice your speech of world peace. Erica, you're looking lovely, but you've got C grade score, which is fine. I had C. I got through on C minuses actually, but I think you can do better. So let's go. You go get some rest. Yes. What time is it? 4 p.m. Perfect time to get a rest. And she can learn to drive. Oh, the mysterious zero message. Oh, okay, and our maid is done. And anyway, what is the next question? What made you say YouTube channel? Freak Tunes asks, what are your thoughts on smaller members of the cartoon community? Like, obviously there's some I really like. They end up on the channel. Generally the ones I really respect, I end up doing collaboration with if they're interested. And if they cover kind of similar content. And Gem Reviews is a big one I really respect. He's having a rough time right now with everything, but he does a lot of work for me. He's done a lot of the scripts. Well, he hasn't fully done them, but he's done a lot of the structure and helped me with them. He's a big assistant writer. He's probably the most reliable assistant writer. And the reason I really wanted to choose him for helping with writing is because he, out of probably any of the other cartoon community channels you'll see, is most similar to my writing. He's got the right spirit, he's got the right tone. It's not too over-saccharine, yet at the same time it's still kind of forceful with what he believes, yet not nasty or anything like that. It's been an absolute pleasure working with Gem. Someday, if I stop being the host, Gem will probably take over for me. If he wants to. I have no idea what happens in time, and that's not for a long time yet. But if I ever decide to, Gem will probably take over for me. And yeah, obviously, Enter. I really like what Enter's covering now. I didn't watch much of his old material myself, despite what a lot of people think. It honestly was just purely coincidence that we did cover a lot of the stuff we did cover at the same time. But I really like what he's covering now, giving his sort of honest opinion on the internet and what he considers of free speech. And I don't fully agree with him on everything, but it's really nuanced and interesting and well studied. And I'm just really glad to see him giving something as a well-known member of the cartoon community that's a little bit different, that makes us think in a different way and reflect. So that's really cool. Let's see. Are you ready for school? You haven't done your homework, young lady. Where's your... Oh, so your old homework. You can sell your old homework, can you? Yeah, you can. Lots of... And obviously Robin I really like as well. I'll probably go visit her soon. That's good. It's good. We did that convention together recently. That was good fun. And see her and Brendan. Brendan's been voice acting in something new as well recently. They're good. It's good to see them. Good friends. Anyway, I'll jump to the next question, which is from Creepy Clover, who asks, favorite video game character? Also, did you know Cuphead is getting a cartoon? I didn't know, Creepy Clover. I keep on meaning to get the game. Once it goes on special, if you guys would like me to play it, let me know. But, she's on the treadmill. Good. Yeah, just train up a little bit and see if you can get your heart strength up a little bit and get some cardio skill. She's already pretty athletic. Oh, nice. Let's see. Oh, you can work out until fatigued. You do that. Go on a field trip. There we go. Oh, you can jog too. Go for a jog. All right. My favorite video game character is probably Travis Touchdown. He's awesome. I actually realized that I modeled a lot of my costume off Travis Touchdown. I think actually we both got that sort of deep red jacket, and he's just unapologetic for who he is, and I really loved that growing up. I really appreciated that. He doesn't care what other people think. He just does it. He knows who he is, and he just embraces it. And I don't see many other games like that where they're just really embracing who they are, even if it's considered just like dorky. I love that about him. So that's very cool. Take money out of the political campaign fund. Well, I could make a political joke there, but I won't. But no, I don't think we need to take out the political campaign fund. That was a good piece of advice. A lot of advice I got from my justice. I did justice in tech school, and one of my justice teachers gave the advice that whatever you do will follow you for the rest of your life, and that if you are asked to do something and you wouldn't want it to be shown in the papers to your family, then you probably shouldn't do it. And I thought, if you're in the justice field, that's probably a good idea. And I don't know, I kind of sort of try to follow that with my... It's very easy to be impulsive with Twitter posts. Oh, sorry. I keep on meaning to press forward, yeah. With Twitter posts, but I feel that's a good piece of advice. I feel like... Mark Campolo mentioned this a lot, actually, as well, is that he and Hank had a good conversation on this, that if we have someone else kind of to level us to sort of say, should we post this? And that's the thing. But the thing is that Twitter is so instant, it takes about 20 seconds to come up with a thought and then post it afterwards. And I think some celebrities, anyway, in the movie field probably shouldn't have... I don't think the frickin' President Trump should have a Twitter, but anyway. Well, no, it gives us an idea of who he really is, but I don't know, it encourages some people. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. I don't want to do that. We're here to have something that isn't political related, that's just nice, that's just we can all enjoy, that we're all passionate about, which is... I mean, you're not necessarily passionate about me playing Sims games, but hopefully we can have fun. I often do wear yellow when I'm running in my marathons and stuff. I think yellow is such a lovely color, but you can't find many yellow shirts and that sort of thing. I can find orange, bright orange. I love this color orange, but this is one of my running shirts. But it's quite hard to find a good yellow. Everyone dresses in so often in like black and dark colors when they're in their running, and I was like, do these actually sell? Anyway, that is completely silly, unrelated stuff, so I'll skip off that. Who is your favorite Steven Universe character from Phantom Moon? Good question. Phantom Moon, I would probably say Pearl, because even though, probably because I relate the most to Pearl, I think that's actually Leah's favorite character as well, but she's kind of... Leah proposed in her Asperger's video, which I loved, that she was Asperger's, and I think I would add on to that, I think she's also obsessive-compulsive, because I'm both obsessive and compulsive and Asperger's, and it creates an interesting amalgam, and I kind of see a lot of those two combinations of symptoms when I see Pearl. She's very sensitive to food, she thinks about the texture of items and food and that sort of thing, but is also quite obsessive about things and just high-strung, and could probably use a meditation session every morning. Maybe a bit of anxiety disorder in there as well, but yeah. Anyway, so probably Pearl. Like, I can't think of any other characters. I like all, well, not all the characters, but all the major characters I really enjoy. Maybe Greg's dad. I don't know, but I like all the characters. From BB, I like that everyone's adding little pumpkins to their Twitter names. That's really cool. BBMC's Underworld asks, what is your absolute favorite cartoon of all time? I get asked this occasionally, and probably my favorite movie of all time would be Back to the Future Part 2, because I just find the first half particularly so interesting of going forward in time and seeing the world like as it's pictured in the 80s, and for once a positive depiction of the future. Ever since the Fallout era, there hasn't ever been a positive depiction. Very rarely. I mean, Star Trek gives us a more positive depiction of the future. Even Futurama kind of gives us a more positive depiction of the future in that we're still here in 100 years. Global warming doesn't screw us over, and anyway, so. Yeah, so I think I'd probably say one of my favorite movies is Back to the Future 2. One of my favorite cartoons, I think you guys know this, but Legend of Korra, not Series 2, that was really average, but 3 and 4 are absolute gold. Absolute cartoon gold. Such character development. There's elements and things covered there. I probably go off about Legend of Korra every time I talk to you guys, and I'm asked this, but it really is. Oh, damn it! A Cat Stein Spielberg just stole from us. Oh, that sucks. Well, can we call the cops or something? Maybe, or you could just sit there. Fine, do your homework. We can afford it. Fine. Why don't I have a burglar's alarm? Get a burglar's alarm. Where is it? Electronics. Let's see. Where's the burglars? Well, let's put a smoke alarm. That's a good start. In case we burn ourselves down. Oh, is that a modem? What is that? It's a data disk storage tower. Anyway, let's find a burglar alarm. Where is the burglar alarm? There it is. So, now that will hopefully protect us. Wait, why couldn't we set up a burglar alarm? That didn't go on the wall. Burglar alarm. There we go. Okay. Now, anyway, so yeah, very big fan of Legend of Korra, but Steven Universe isn't my favorite anymore, to be honest. It definitely isn't. I had big issues with some of the things and directions they took in Season 5. I actually think My Little Pony has a lot more moral nuance and can actually address the idea of some people not being... Like, there are some people you don't want, like, to be redeemed and to be on your side because they're a danger to themselves and others. And it's a small portion of society, but I really would have liked Steven Universe to address that. I once heard someone say, in Steven Universe, there are no villains, there are only misunderstandings. I'm like, oh, that is so wrong. That's so wrong. It's like humanism and psychology. I like the idea of it. And Carl Rogers is one of my favorite figures in all of psychology and in one of my just heroes. Love Carl Rogers. But the idea in humanism that everyone is just trying to seek self-actualization at heart, I can't believe myself, but you know, props to you if you personally can believe that. I personally don't believe that. Anyway, so yes, that's certainly Legend of Korra is one of my favorites. I'm watching a lot of Puff and Rock at the moment for some reason, actually. I'm just looking for a chill show. If I want to someday do a... Oh, congratulations, Dusk has just improved his athletic skill to level 6. Cool. I want to someday do a list of the top 10 best shows to watch while you're sad or recovering or just tired or depressed maybe as well. Something that doesn't trigger you. And Puff and Rock will definitely be on there because it's definitely one of those shows that's great for when you're feeling tired and just need to recover a bit. Yeah, so from Vex Bandablaze, we have the question, coolest attack action sequence you've seen in a cartoon that is not from Eastern animation, like in The Secret Saturdays or Stitch. That's a tough one, Vex. Video games from the West are applicable as video games allow control of animation in your hands. You know, I don't know in West. I'm gonna say, what about from Avatar? Is there any really cool attacks I saw in there? Just in general, I've always loved in Season 4 of Legend of Korra when the way Korra just flies out from the sewer pipe and busts it out is actually very similar to kind of mimicking a scene in Season 1, Episode 1 of the original Avatar, which is very cool. But, yeah, and probably Spirit Bomb. No, not the Spirit Bomb. Super Dragon Fist from Dragon Ball GT if I were to go Eastern animation. I'd be curious of other people's opinions on that. Oh, Editman RGG2, who looks like he has Ryo Hazuki in his name. Gaming genres you like, and do you feel ashamed about gaming leaning to heavy or excessive microtransactions, loot boxes? I don't feel ashamed about it. I feel ashamed that I sometimes cave and play sort of games that do have lots of micro... because I play games more to keep myself busy now at night, occasionally. Like, I feel there's a bit more depth to The Sims, but games where basically it's just watching numbers going up and pressing little buttons, and that's essentially what they are. It's using... There's an extreme use of what's called Skinner box techniques in games nowadays. You see it in mobile games where numbers go up, which give us a little bit of a dopamine hit, and we're encouraged to do it again and again and click it again and again, and we get little amounts, and they encourage us to come back day in and day out until we give in and pay for microtransactions to keep on getting this little dopamine hit. And that I am ashamed of, that, you know, just wasting of psychology. There's not as much about exploration and wonder. Oh, for goodness sake. Get rid of the TV if you can't. What, are you still stuck? Okay, good. But yeah, it's less about exploration now and exploring character, and I do personally think, from my experience on YouTube anyway, and TV in general, that people's attention spans have dropped a little bit. We always need to be doing something in the background, or using our mobiles and stuff. And I'm not saying I'm any different. I do the exact same thing quite often, and I slap myself for it and say, oh, Josh, take some time to actually be in the moment for a moment. Put down your mobile phone. Just enjoy your drink in the quietness, or not the quietness, but the ambience of the food court. You know, I like to go to the mall a lot, and just sort of sit and enjoy myself. And sometimes I just have to say, stop, don't look at statistics, don't look at anything, don't look at social media, just stop for a bit and chill and enjoy and be grateful. And, I try to do that sometimes, and I think that's part of why there have been some issues that come up lately in mental health and just social issues in general, people finding them more miserable on Facebook. So yeah, I'm not happy to see that in games. I personally haven't connected deeply. I think the transition from Fallout 3 to Fallout 4 is a good example of the transition from Oblivion to Skyrim, because I loved Oblivion. Absolutely loved it. It was cheesy. I liked probably Morrowind a bit more, but Oblivion was right there in the middle where it was, cheesy and stuff, and it was very, wonderful fantasy world. It just completely knew what it wanted to be, but oh, for goodness sake, another linky tap. Come on, guys. Look, you fix it, Josh. You fix it, or Dawn. Anyway, what was I saying? I'm sorry. Yeah, but Skyrim, the funny thing is, I remember the vistas of Oblivion, I remember some of the quests of Oblivion, I remember the Dark Brotherhood, I remember the Thieves Guild, I remember, the Thieves Guild leader going capital, and stealing the Elder Scrolls, and all this other kind of interesting moments. But I remember looking at my Steam on Skyrim, and realizing I'd sunk about 80 hours into that game, and I've always kind of regretted that, because when I look back, I cannot remember a thing about Skyrim. It's like it just disappears from my memory. And that's part of the problem with some of these Skinnerbox games, is you're just going from map quest to map quest without any real memorizing of the scenery. You're just going from quest to quest and, popping them like Pez dispensers without any real intrigue. And I didn't connect as much with the story. I mean, the fact that you're expected to just let a guy be executed with one of the tribes you join, I think the Imperials, and I kept on interrupting it and not letting the guy be killed, and getting the Imperials to hate me, and then having to go back to the other guys, and bad stuff happened. I don't know, I felt like Skyrim was trying to be edgy, while Morrowind actually had nuance and actually had faction. And anyway, that's not a popular opinion, because I think Skyrim is a cultural phenomenon that sold so many copies that they became self-published. Oh dear, my adopted daughter just went to Erica Twilight just went into a spaceship, and she was abducted by an alien, and hopefully that doesn't mean she's pregnant now. Anyway, yeah. And so I don't remember anything about Skyrim, so that's a big gap for me. I don't know if that's my failure to appreciate it, because it's a beautiful looking game, the voice acting is better. I thought there was a nice cheese to the original voice acting of Oblivion, but I don't agree that Skyrim shouldn't have voice acting. I think it should. But there was just nothing I remember about it except the first dragon, and except that they tried to get my head chopped off at the start. Apart from that, I remember nothing, and so that bugs me. And same thing for Fallout 4. I tried to get into Fallout 4. I really tried, but compared to Fallout 3, where I actually got into the character, role playing, going from place to place, Fallout 4 felt like it actually took itself seriously as well. Like, we're trying to poke fun at the hypocrisy of the perfect American lifestyle in Fallout 1, 2, and 3. And in 4, it's just like, no, you really have the perfect American lifestyle, the lovely nuclear family, all this, and then it was all taken away. And it feels like such a side thought to get to the action that it's almost an insult of itself within the first 30 seconds of the game. Anyway, now that I've insulted two of the most popular games in the world, Fallout 4 and Skyrim, I think we'll move on to the next question, shall we? I've probably developed enough time to that anyway. Favorite anime from Spike the Shark Fan Toothwell. I can't think off the top of my head. I mean, Cowboy Bebop's a popular one to mention. I enjoyed Inuyasha when I was a kid, but I watched so much. I watched Abanabashi Shotengai, Nin Nin Shinobu Den. I loved a lot of the comedy animes. I watched Elfen Lied, obviously. I used to go to Anime Club when I was 15, and a lot of those continuing ones that you're seeing today, kind of finishing, like Bleach and a bunch of other ones, I was watching when I was 15. You know, I've just been going that long. Even One Piece. Oh yeah, Throw a Party. Go on. So yeah, I don't have any specific I really think is absolute best, but probably the Miyazaki movies I think are my favorites, but everyone says that, you know. Come on, why can't she start that one? Okay, dress code... Casual attire, that's nice. Teen Party will start at 7 p.m. But yeah, no specific ones I'd point to. Maybe Spirited Away or Howl's Moving Castle. Coles Dara asks, what are some of your favorite modern cartoons? Well, I've got the best modern cartoons. I'm going to say off the top of my head, if we're looking at the Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network library, We Bare Bears is still another big favorite of mine. I don't talk about it much. None of us really do, because I think it's not one that I think some people will talk about anyway. I think Albert talks about it occasionally. But, yeah, it's one that is very... Like, I like it personally, but it doesn't really... Not many people in the community, my subscriber list anyway, seem to have too much interest in it from what I've seen. And so, you know, I will include it in a list whenever I can, though. Like, I had to include an episode in Darkest Cartoon Network episodes. That was super fun. Yeah, that's probably one of my favorite ones at the moment. That's one of the ones I tend to tune into. Obviously, DuckTales 2016 is just... Was it 2017? A real classic, though. Absolutely beautiful. Really enjoy getting into that. I still watch that whenever I get a chance. I was a big fan of Star vs. Force of Evil was a big one I really enjoyed. God, they're really not getting along, are they, at this party? It's all, like... This is my problem with the AI sometimes, is it just... I don't know, they don't really get along. It doesn't really feel very organic. Do you really go to a party and start... I'd possibly go to a party and start reading? No, I'd make the effort. I'd feel horribly uncomfortable and actually try and interact and probably do exactly what they're doing. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a very, very realistic indication of a regular teen party where we fall asleep on the floor and keep walking around awkwardly and looking at each other. That's actually most of the teen parties I went to, which wasn't that many, were a lot like that, actually. So, you know, there we go. And when I got to my 21 phase and the actor phase, we all started... they all started drinking around me. I'd have, like, maybe a Cascade Light. I went through a period where I did drink. I'm a teetotaler now, but from 22 to 23, I would have a Cascade Light when I was with my acting friends. And I didn't even like the taste of beer, though. Look, this is almost getting dangerous, guys. You shouldn't be jumping on a trampoline when you're falling asleep. Why doesn't everyone go home if you're that tired? Shoo! Oh, it's only 2:14, you lightweights. It's 2:31 a.m. now here in Australia, you know, and I'm wired and wide awake. I'm losing my memory a little bit, so I probably am a little bit tired, but I'm going to do this, you know. I'm not going to be interrupted by anything, and I'm going to enjoy it for a bit. Yeah. So, yes, guys, why don't you go home? Shoot. What the hell? Why are they sleeping in our bed? If I was home, I wouldn't be happy. Erica, get these people out of our house. Shoot. No, don't snub. Get out of the bed. Shoot. Go. What? Wait, now Erica's sleeping? Fine, sleep in the bed, whatever. As long as everyone's having fun, I suppose. Why do I still have a tiny cook from when Erica was younger? Is there some way to cancel this party? Anyway, have you checked out Ruby Gloom? I never watched much of Ruby, sorry, Ruby Bloom out of context, that is your name. Playalina, have you been keeping up with Thomas and Friends? Not in a while. I still really want to do Darkest Thomas episodes, but I feel like I've probably drunk that well dry, because I've spoken to a few people who are really into Thomas, and they say like there are a bunch of darker episodes, and like I would love to, go down that rabbit hole. Look, people, go away. Shoo. Give this poor lady some free time to herself. How do I get rid of you people? Go away. Go away. Share secret. Breakup party. There we go. Okay. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Go away. Go away. Yes, yes. Wave your hands around. Shoo. And yeah, you eat a cake slice or something and then you go to school. Oh, okay, you go to school first. Anyway, I will stop talking to the game characters. But I will probably look a bit more into Thomas and Friends over time. But it's a show I respect. Certainly I respect it as a kid's show, but it's not one I probably get into as much as some other particular, generally, people who happen to probably be on the autism spectrum like me. It's just not one of my real passions, trains. It's funny, a lot of Aspies I've met tend to really like trains, and I think I could have been someone who really got into Lego. I was looking at Lego the other day, and I was just like, this would be fun to try and build on the LifeStrider channel sometimes, just for funsies, and see if people enjoy it. I don't know if that thing would be enjoyed. Anyway, Ghostonia says, how has your perception of cartoons changed over the years? I haven't watched a video of yours since 2017, I believe. Well, thank you for looking at my social media then, Ghostonia. I appreciate that. People come and go from my videos, though. I get that, I should really check you out sometime. My tone has really changed since previously Ghostonia. Back, I think I was really trying. I look back. I don't like to look back at some of my old videos, because particularly something like Teen Titans Go, worst Teen Titans Go, because I was trying so hard in that one, and people still seem to enjoy them, so they're there. But I feel like I was trying too hard, and it just felt too artificial. I feel what I do now is maybe still very artificial, but I feel it's less artificial, and it's more about earnesty now and being real, because there's people who are much funnier than me at this point. Like, the cartoon community has gotten so much bigger since I started, and there are people who are much more competent, much better writers, much more talented and funny than me. But like, the one thing I can do is I can be real. I will be honest and earnest with you guys, and I will talk from my heart. And I think there's not as much earnesty on YouTube as perhaps there could be, and that bothers me sometimes. It's a word I use a lot, and even my Urban Dictionary says I use the word earnest a lot, and it's true. Earnesty is really important to me. I used to get very upset when I watched certain channels when I was a teenager, because they felt like they were pandering, and it really bugged me. So earnesty is a big thing for me. Favorite RPG from Anthony Stark. Sims count as RPG? Probably not, hey. Second Densetsu, Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG. Super Mario RPG, probably, I think, would be one of my favorites. But Oblivion is a Western RPG, and I love playing that and the customizability of that. But Mario RPG is definitely a big one for me. I played that game probably 9 times over the years, and just love it every time. Not too long, not too short, just right. Does anyone else think that flashing is really annoying? Let's get rid of it. What is that? Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Wait, the sofa is flashing? Why is the sofa flashing? Well, now you don't have a sofa. Now nobody gets a sofa. Anyway. What's the worst Disney animated movie you've ever seen? Well, I think that's what... Oh, that's from Theme Park Nerdo. I guess that's what worst Disney movies is for. Home on the Range was definitely up there. I had to exaggerate. Oh, wait. Well, Belle's Magical World is definitely one of them. Yeah, I'd probably say Belle's Magical World is definitely up there. But I really did dislike a lot of parts of... I found Hunchback 2 really insulting out of all of them. Probably that was one of the most insulting ones. But Belle's Magical World was definitely up there because it just... Yeah, it was such a crap on the original, even in just visually how it looked. Oh, there was something so awful about that animation, and it shouldn't be that awful, but because like you should still be able to draw these characters basically, but it was just bad. Autumn Sapphire asks, have you watched Mao Heroes of Pure Heart? And if so, what do you think about it? I'm sorry, Oldham, I haven't seen that one. Is that an anime or a Western cartoon? What are these two doing? What does this say? Phone withdrawals. Experiencing phone withdrawals is awfully painful for Erica. So much web searching, socializing being missed out right now. There'll be plenty of more of it when you return to it. I think that's one thing that's changed, is I feel like my age is showing more now after being on here for 3 or 4 years. I'm a bit older. I started this game, YouTube, at an older age than a lot of people. Like, some people started like 19. Like my friend Matt started at like, I think 12, 13. Hoodoo Hoodlum started at about 16, 15. I think even Enter started. He's a fair bit younger than me, isn't he? Actually, he's only like 25. But a lot of people started in this game younger than me. I still love animation, don't get me wrong, but I think more people have that passion for it now, and my incentives now aren't so much to talk about cartoons. It's to find... it's to keep making people at least interested or happy every day. It's the idea of that is really what makes me tick nowadays. The idea that something like my darkest adult cartoon episodes can actually really get through to someone. I had a lot of messages going on there and a lot of exposure of who I was. It was a raw nerve for me, that one. And the fact that I could get people on there who, one person actually said it saved his life, was crazily enough. And that is just the greatest honor to me. Do you even have school anymore, Erica? Like, what are you doing? You're a B grade student. You are going to school today. You're learning. Oh wait, yeah, you are. You're at school. Sorry, Dusk. You're governor. What are you doing? Look, go do charisma. Do charisma. Learn, practice world speech. But yes, that is what really makes me tick nowadays, and just still being able to do that. And that's part of why I get other people, really, and I try to bring other people in who are more passionate than me, because I want this also to be a space for people who I think really deserve the floor and have something to say and can give their passion to you. I think if I can I'm more interested in being the producer and the bringer of that message, and just the organizer of that message. And as long as that platform can be there for people to have a place of respite with a calm tone to it that is a respite, then that is the most important thing to me now. And it's not so much about the cartoons being cartoons, but am I getting too philosophical? But the cartoons being a medium to bring that respite to people, and that's just so important to me now. Anyway, I've gone on about that. Sorry if I've been a bit of a bore. Erica's class will be taking a field trip tomorrow to the police department. Do you want to sign the permission slip and let Erica attend? She'll be excused from any after-school activities. What a nice idea. You go do police stuff. You don't get thrown in jail, Erica. I guess I am a bit tired, aren't I? That was not a very well-constructed sentence. Josh, you're about to pee yourself. Go to the toilet. Do I have to tell you? No, you did it yourself. Very well done. Erica, you go get some sleep. And yes, you poor thing, you're stressed. Anyway, the next question. Worst fear. Denise the Pink Soul. There's one, and it's the same primal fear we all have. It's the second most popular primal fear in the world. You can look that up if you're curious. The number one primal fear, to put it in perspective, I think is considerably less scary, which is, the number one primal fear in the world is fear of speaking to a large group. How crazy is that, hey? Like, I would so much rather face a large group than have to deal with the intellectual process of the other one, and understanding that and coming to terms with that and the process of it. I mean, I think nowadays, a way I look at life in general is it's a short vacation from non-existence, because we've been dead for the last 13 billion years? Yeah, 13 billion years, and this is sort of just a respite in between where we're on holiday, not being dead, and, it's a nice holiday, and it's an absolute privilege. I don't know, it's not all a nice holiday. We don't really get a choice in the holiday, but it's an absolute privilege to be in this moment, in this absolutely crazily unlikely moment in time where we get a flicker of consciousness that is basically like all of us winning the lottery. And the interesting thing about people in wanting eternity in their religion is it's like saying, I want to have not $1 million, but $10 million. Why didn't I win $10 million? It's wishing for even more time. And I wonder if love and the idea of just the importance of living in the moment disappears with just the concept of eternity, and that's something that they miss out on there. I don't know, that's just my humanist, secular humanist thoughts. But anyway, that's probably too long and philosophical, and we're trying to keep it a little bit light, I'm sorry. But this is often my thoughts at night. I do a lot of this. What am I doing there? I've got like a special little holograph thing. Yeah, that's right, yeah. So I got that from the future world. So yes, in a very long-winded way of saying that's my worst fear. That's, probably my worst fear, but more interesting is the fact that the worst fear for our animal people, Homo sapiens, seems to be speaking to lots of other Homo sapiens, which I cannot understand why. One of my big fears is heights. That just sucks. Like, I hate heights. When I was on that cliff on Instagram, all I can think of is the splat. All I can think of is the fall. All I can think of that anyway. So yeah, probably heights is a big one too. In the spirit of Halloween, what's your favorite horror movie? Well, Halloween pun names ask that. Well, as I probably indicated to you here, my mind is racing a mile a minute quite often, and I often don't need much encouragement on feeling fear and anxiety, if I haven't made that clear in the last 3 years. So I don't watch much horror. I used to watch a bit of David Lynch. I don't have a favorite horror movie. I know what the most potent horror I've seen is, but yeah, horror is an interesting thing. Horror is all about psychology and the idea of making yourself feel powerless and making you question your universe and feel uncertain within it. And I don't know, so much of my life is spent trying to give myself a little bit of certainty in this very uncertain, chaotic universe we're in, apathetic universe we're in, which I appreciate and I'm glad to be a part of and to have this moment in and simply want it to be and simply want to be a part of it and let it, not judge it specifically and be in the moment, but at the same time, I can't remember the point I was trying to make on that. But, yeah, so I don't really go out of my way to make myself feel disempowered, which is the crux of proper horror. I do like ghouls and goblins, though. Ghouls and goblins in Halloween are fun. And I think when I do something like Darkest, I am trying to give that understanding of disempowerment, but it's something that I feel I'm very careful with my Dark List because we're doing this disempowerment together. We're understanding the disempowerment and how it affects us. And I think that's really powerful when we can actually look at it and say, this is what's happening to us and this is why we're feeling it. Because I think when we understand that fear, it becomes a little bit less intense. So I think so anyway. So yes, long answer. I don't have one, but I do like Halloween. What are your thoughts on South Park getting banned in China? Spookhead11. I heard about this. I don't follow Trey and Matt as much as I used to. It was an interesting experience. That's another big thing that changed, is that South Park was such an important show for me kind of starting my channel. My avatar is South Park style on my actual avatar. And looking back on it now, I don't watch it much. When it was shown on my Netflix, I thought, I don't really want to watch that. And I think it's partially because I've grown kind of weary over the last 10 years of watching it, of them over-amplifying everything and really encouraging apathy. Both shows like Rick and Morty and South Park kind of make it cool to be apathetic. And in South Park, it's sort of always sort of saying in a very implicit way that it is right to be apathetic and that anyone who reacts is a moron. And I think that's I don't think it's something Trey and Matt even did on purpose, but it's something that's there. And I kind of miss days of South Park episodes where it was about something silly. a simple topic. You know, it wasn't always so intense. And I think around the part that, and I don't like that Cartman always gets away with everything. It pees me off that Cartman always gets away with everything, and he's sometimes painted as a protagonist, but this is a psychopathic scumbag that everyone hates, well, that I hate anyway. It's like painting Peter as the protagonist. It's like, no, he is scum. And what's nice about Family Guy is they actually paint everyone as scum, particularly nowadays, even in modern Family Guy. But in South Park, Cartman's kind of sometimes the hero, and it's like, no, he's not. He is scum. The best episode is Wendy beating the crap out of him. And I guess my vehement hate for Cartman is so much that it's a bit like the Peter Griffin thing. I just can't get past so much of it nowadays because I hate Cartman so much. And so it's... At some point, probably when I was 17, I burnt out a little bit politically. Australia is a climate where it is... There's a lot of conservatives in Australia. There's a lot of conservatives. I used to, past fact about me is I used to go to, lighting was right, the mood was perfect. Jeffrey, yeah, go steady with you, girl. Your boyfriend, Erica. I used to be really active politically. I used to go to a lot of marches and that sort of thing. And I used to be a big supporter of the Greens. I'm very progressive left-wing. It may not seem that sometimes, but... I'm progressive, particularly on pro-human rights, civil rights, that sort of thing, and freedom, and that sort of thing. So I was a big supporter of our Greens, which is basically like the very progressive Democrats in your country in America, if you're in America. And I kind of got out of it after a while. After a couple of years, I was very proactive. I was very going out and going to the marches. I'd dress up as a polar bear and do all sorts of things, you know, and walk against warming. And I was so happy to see that climate walk, but I can't do it anymore, I guess, nowadays. But, you know, I'm glad that even if I can't, there are other people out there. I will support it 110%. And I understand if you'd be, you know, upset at me for not going to those walks because I'm just as invested, but I just couldn't do it anymore. And I burnt out a little bit, and I never really recovered from my political burnout. And that's part of why I think I made this channel, is to be a respite for people who do need a break. And that's one thing I can do. And, you know, if I can help people in a small way, that's the thing. I do have I guess I do have a strong social conscience. Anyway, this has been like therapy for me. Thank you. And that is all the questions. But I did not answer the actual question of what I thought of South Park getting banned in China. Best friend's Chinese actually, Ming, and he's very much against Xi Jinping and some of the things he's done recently, because he started off not nearly as dangerous as Mao, but obviously he did things like create a rule that allowed him to stay in parliament in power, and created legislation to keep him in power. It's just very dodgy stuff that democracy doesn't really favor. So it's an interesting game, because Disney, basically what happened in the story is Disney's trying to get in, Randy's trying to get his marijuana thing into China, but they've got to follow these rules that don't really abide by free speech in order to get into China, so they have to abandon their ideals in order to get a bigger market, which is like, I don't know, what do you say to that? Matt and Trey are unapologetic to Xi Jinping, and I'm glad of that, because it's messed up. And I will say it's efficient, though. I've had this conversation with my dear friend Ming a lot of times, in that he came over here from a very young age, and went to medical school and all this sort of stuff, and he felt very very clustered by the climate. He felt very oppressed by it, as many do, and I totally get that. I wouldn't want to live there. But one thing I did say is that it's very efficient, isn't it? You look at things like the Olympic Games in China, and how they couldn't get rid of the smog, but they could literally stop the weather. They could create all these new structures, and there's something efficient about when you have a very well-controlled communist society. But there is also the back buffer we didn't have necessarily, 100 years ago, which is that Xinping and the government there is very scared of the people revolting because there's a lot of them. And they want technological progress and many other things. I know they want concrete. Anyway, that's probably one of the most boring things I could discuss with you, but I do have a lot of opinions on China. I find China really fascinating. I think that if I do learn another language, it will probably be Chinese. With Ming, I'll probably learn Chinese eventually anyway. Anyway, what's happened with our Sims here? So, Dusk, you ended up going steady with your boyfriend, did you? Oh my god, they're like best buddies in the world. How did I miss that? Why don't you invite him over or something? It's 11 a.m. What? No, don't. Just invite him over. One sec. Invite out. No. Just invite over. There we go. And what happened with you, Josh? Are you, you're still governor, and you still didn't do the freaking charisma I asked you to do. Fine. You be crappy charisma. I'm not charismatic either, so I guess that works out well. You go be governor. And yes, well, that's about all our questions, and I've probably bored you for long enough. This was lovely, guys. Thanks for joining me for a bit, and thanks for the nice questions. If you have any other questions, feel free to post them in the comments of this video, and I'll hopefully answer them next time. I'll answer what I can. Anyway, I'll talk to you later.